it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Morning tubers. Obviously it's the weekend again, which means more work on the car. We're getting there. We are really getting there now. Last week obviously the turbo got installed. The iffy turbo drain line was installed. It's case plumbing in. I think we'll get the radiator in, get the water lines on, and we can go for a test fire. I think I've got to plug the ECU back in, which is sitting on top of my toolbox. And yeah, we can kind of get it. When it's focusing, we can kind of get this up and running, I reckon, or at least trying to get it up and running. This really isn't wanting to autofocus, is it? It might. There we go. Might be because it's a bit cold in here and condensation. So, without further ado, let's get on it. We'll do some jobs on this. The main thing is getting the radiator in, ready for plumbing in the turbo. Notice the damp air giving me some surface rust. That means it's going to come off after stove enamel that. Yeah, so get the radiator done, but the radiator's a bit grotty. Now I'm going to change it for an aluminium one, as you know, but when that's going to be, I don't know. I just want to get the car running, so we may as well get it up on this one. But as you can see, the paint's starting to come off because she's getting a bit older. So I'm going to give it a sand, with sanding mats, and then basically give it a lick of paint, and she can go in, especially while the weather's quite good. So we'll set up the tripod and let's get going. As you can see, the radiator's a bit grotty. It was a new one, well, I'll say a new one, about 3 or 4 years ago. I bought it ready for retro ride. I'm not using too abrasive ones on it. It's just mainly this old paint that's starting to bubble. So try not to damage the core. Yeah, just get it sanded. Let's use some coarser than that. Okay, hose number 2 at the moment. I'm just going to keep it long, so I can just see where it actually is going to go, because it's going to be there. So that's it, about like that. So we'll cut about that much off. Right there. Oh, that's one on. Got OCD with the Jubilee clips, have to be the same way around.
So we've got what? 31, Spark A, Spark B, Spark C, Spark D.
Yeah, so Spark A and Spark D, I think, together, right? Is 1 and 4, 2 and 3, isn't it? On your coil packs.
Yeah.
It's that one. It's that one.
So I need to find it on here, don't I?
That's that one. Right. Okay, that's that bit done. Get ready to put the radiator on. There we go. That's the water lines on. Now the radiator can go back in. Radiator's placed in. Just need to bolt it up and connect the hoses. Right, this top post pushed on. So that's take that off and lift it up a bit and put the bottom hose on. that side bolts on with a fan, but I'll just put a bolt in temporarily. So while I run it up, I'm not going to bother with the fan. And make sure the turbo's alright.
Found exactly what
There we go. Right, time to refit the oil line. Missing a copper washer. Missing a copper washer. We're getting there. Right, so actuators on, drains are on, water feeds on, so we'll have put the bracing bracket on. Let's get that on there. Okay, and then that bolts like that, I believe. Like so. And just got the bracing pin to go there. Bracing bar. Could do the longer one, to be fair. I'm sure I've got some more of this.
Is there an output test load?
Yes.
Someone said it looks like it's not firing spark B. Use the output test load and try firing spark A and spark B.
Alright, I need to make a longer one. Looks a bit more serious now, it's all piped up. Right, next up, exhaust. Just feed the exhaust down. and bolt that up. Water pipes are on. Now let's put this on the, take that bolt out, put this on the actuator to the turbo. That's if it's long enough, then it's going to be long enough. No. Damn. No, well, right. Okay, good idea. Back in a moment. Moment of truth time, we're going to give it a test fire. You hold the camera, Gregor. Here we go. Oh, bollocks. We've now got the exhaust on. Playing a bit of lift. On gas now, getting the inlet pipe sorted. I expect you to do that anyway. Right, before we put that on, we need to put a rubber O-ring on it. O-ring. That'll do it. O-ring's coming handy again. Need to stretch it a bit. Okay, let's take it out of here. Shave, stretch the O-ring out a bit. Fits perfect now. So we can get that inlet pipe on. It's as if Saab knew when they were making this that one day some British bloke in a shed is going to want to turbo his car with the bits. That's that one. So I'll show you how it's on. Can't really tell. Perfect. Bolt that up. Get ready for the pipe to go on. After quite a bit of mucking about, oh, I'm kicking the tripod. Now got the inlet pipe on, which is the inlet into the supercharger, not inlet into the car. Turbo, sorry, not. It's his fault because I've been just chasing Mega Squirt problems for him, so I lost my track. Well, I am blaming you. What ideas did I give you? Yeah, you're going supercharged. Yeah. 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 Of course it's true. There we go. So the idea is, when use a bit of I've got some 2.5 or 2.25. No, it's actually 2-inch stainless pipe somewhere, which I can find it. Is that 2-inch stainless pipe?
Hey?
2-inch. Oh, it's here. Right. Stainless 2-inch pipe. That's going to be cut down and go underneath my boost pipe, because the boost pipe goes in like that. And then a 90 that I'm going to obviously got to get to that. So of course that will be practically cold air feed, but I'll put the cone in the front there, so it's going to get a nice load of cool air straight in. Just makes it a little bit neater, really, don't it? I'll give you a closer up. You have to remake this boost pipe, you know. It's just making it look crap.
What with the tape?
Yeah. So yeah, that's on there. Inlet into the turbo, out into there, into the intercooler, and back in. But yeah, I think we'll cut it down about there, because otherwise it's going to foul on the grill. Yeah, let's get the pen. I mean, that could slide quite far back, actually. So make sure it's cut around about there. Then we can basically get the MAF straight onto it. Okay, I'll get the MAF ready, which is just sitting there. In the words of the A-team, I love it when a plan comes together. So obviously I haven't cut the pipe down for the air intake, only because I don't know whether I'm going to run the MAF or not. I did have some problems when I had the GM IET sensor on. It was reading really cold air, so it made the car kind of always be in a auto choke. And no matter how much I adjusted the afterstart enrichment and the warm-up and everything, it just always ran a bit far too rich. But then when I moved the sensor up here, because it was down there, obviously on the intake side after the intercooler, put it so it was getting warm air, car ran better, because I know the map is completely fine. So, but then if I plug the MAF sensor in, it would run better, because at the moment the MAF sensor isn't doing anything other than doing it being air intake temperature sensor, because it's now runs a standalone ECU. So because of that, I'm in two minds whether I want to run the MAF still, which means I have to get a reducer for that, because that's 2.5 inch to a 2-inch to fit, and then I'd have to put, then the cone filter will go on the end of it, which would be fine, but it's right up here, which means extending them wires down to here, which is no big problem really, to be honest, but it's a bit bulky to be fitting in there. So I don't know. If I don't do it that way, it means welding a nut to the side of that pipe, this one at the bottom, for the IAT, because I get better, seems to be better readings, but there is one welded already. Yeah, there's one there. So I don't know. I haven't come to that decision yet. I'd like to make the decision sooner rather than later, because I'd like to get the car running, and I've got to make the decision which way I'm going to go to get the car running in that way. I'm half expect to put in the MAF there, which means getting the MAF around about up here, which means cutting the pipe down there and getting the MAF, and then you've got the cone filter, and it's going to be right at the front, but it's going to get a nice cold air intake into it, so which would be fantastic really. It's always good to have a nice cool air go into it, and being turboed, obviously the cooler I can get it coming into the car, the less the intercooler has to do and the engine. So that's where I'm kind of at the moment. I'd like to be able to get it done and then take it next Sunday to the car meet, but who knows, there's obviously quite a bit to do and put together, and I haven't even tried it on the road yet. So but I'm chuffed with the exhaust. It's not quite right though with the engine. The way it is, it's knocking on that side of the chassis rail, which I've had before anyway. All it means is just lifting that side of the engine up. But I think this side, because it was where I had the exhaust in, the engine is obviously not sitting right because the exhaust isn't quite fitting correctly onto my mounts, which the engine was in when I made all that, and the turbo was on when I did all that. So I know it all fits. So the only thing that's changed is the engine in a new position. So I think that side needs to go up, left driver side needs to go up, passenger side needs to go down, and that should make the exhaust fit and stop it knocking on that chassis rail, because all it is the alternator just slightly knocks on it. The easiest way around it, really, what I should have done from the beginning, is put a smaller alternator belt on and then move the alternator in. Would get around the problem. But it's never knocked before when it was on the supercharger, and the only thing it's changed is taking the engine out. And I know it wasn't knocking when I was making the exhaust and whatnot, because of the well, I turned the car over, to be fair, so I know it's not caused that. It's actually the engine's just in the wrong position. Probably needs to be a few mil and then that's it. But I'm kind of stoked. Got quite a bit done, and including helping Gregor out in his car. Still battling with his Mega Squirt, unfortunately. But yeah, so hopefully, well, obviously you've seen that it runs, so it's alive, and so I've got a massive grin on my face. But yeah, that's kind of about it for this week. So yeah, we're nearly concluding the turbo install in the MGB GT. So it'll be them fun times trying to keep this thing in a straight line. Right. So anyway, if you liked the video, obviously thumbs up, and I shall see you in the next one. So peace out.